So coming to the next session, it will be a very interesting and intriguing session because it will be something which you can relate to in each and every meeting and contest that you attend. So the next trainer for the second session of the day is somebody who is classy but sassy, who is the queen of Toastmasters. She is somebody who is a solution architect and managing consultant at IBM. She is a certified technology expert at IBM, Oracle, and Red Hat. She has been honored as one of the best of IBM 2019 employees. That is the top 99 percentile. She has been awarded with multiple global cash eminence and excellence awards like People's Choice Award Manager, IBM Star, IBM Spark, Client's Choice, etc. She has been an active philanthropist, and she has made ample contributions to the children education and model villages development in Orissa, affecting 40 plus lives so far. A very inspiring individual indeed. Currently, she is holding the position of Area K1 Director. She has been a District 41 past area runner-up at Evaluations, ISC International Speech Contest, as well as the Table Topics Speech Contests. An Advanced Communicator Bronze and Advanced Leadership Silver. Please help me welcome our second trainer for the day, Toastmaster Rani Mohapatra, with a huge round of virtual applause. Over to you, Toastmaster Rani.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mridula. I feel like I have won an Oscar, which I haven't yet and will never do in future even. And after that brilliant session by Toastmaster Deepak, which was fabulously technical as well as so lucid, I noticed one of the comment mentioned by Toastmaster Krishnesh Naik in the open forum that he explained as if we were all a 5-year-old kid, and I couldn't agree more with him. With that, let's move on to the next section. This would be on how do we have a digital rendezvous at every meeting that we attend, especially when we are the speaker and even importantly when we are the audience. Do give me a thumbs up if you can all see the screen share. Thank you, Mridula. All right, now I wonder, you must be aware of this person. Yes, Animal is a person as well. And this particular little cute guy is the Bow Wow counter, because in every meeting that we attend from our home, it's not just we attending or one person attending, it's the entire home attending. So if you have a pet and if you have kids, then let's be aware that we are attending the meeting with them. So we need to probably manage them as well as us. The first thing about digital meetings or when we are attending something online is we need to be very sure of where are we speaking from. So the first thing that comes there under this segment would be, what is your background? What is the lighting? And what are your distractions? Now it is advised when you look for a background, always go for neutral or solid walls or drapes. So if you have a fabulously patterned wall or your favorite curtains, but they have abstract patterns, it would be a good idea to avoid them because you want to be the hero or heroine of your speech and your screen space, not what is behind you. Recently came across a person at whose home we tried to search together for a wall which is plain, which is solid, and which is simple. But when we couldn't find it, so we settled for something which is probably a little less distracting. So the idea is that we need to prepare and we need to find somewhere where the background is a less of a distraction and you stand out as the speaker or the audience each time your camera space is on. And it also includes that you need to remove any element from your background which can move, which can flutter, which can fly, which can probably drop off on its own. And all of that needs to be done. So for those people who are probably attending meetings from their hostel rooms or probably their own flats. And if you have jeans hanging behind you, that's probably not a good idea. Same applies for if you have a live aquarium behind you, it might look fancy, but after a point of time, be aware if you are the speaker, your audience might take a decision. Do I look at you or do I look at the fish which is swimming behind you? So you really need to think through what shall be your background. And I have seen often that people often zero in and find out that, all right, bookshelves, they make me look cool, that I am an amazing reader. So probably bookshelves is a good idea. Well, it is till unless you're sitting too close to a bookshelf, again, you're risking that somebody might start reading the names of the books behind you, then listen to you. And if your speech for any reason gets monotonous, then be aware your audience is not going to focus on you, but is going to focus on your background. And the Zoom virtual backgrounds. The Zoom virtual backgrounds are a very good option if you are probably a table topic master or you are unprepared and you come in just as an audience. That might be a good option to keep. However, it can really go wrong at times, and I'll show you how. I'm going to stop my screen share for a while so that we can focus more on the background. All right, so I hope my um, background is visible to you. And I said that sometimes it's not a good idea to have a virtual background like this. If I'm a speaker and I am famous or I have a tendency to use my arms a lot. Now, look at what happens when I use my arms and how my hands get projected. Now, if unless I am giving a speech on science fiction, this is not going to work out for me. So that's why we need to take a judicious call based on our role. If I'm playing an R counter, probably it's a good idea to have a virtual background. But if I'm the speaker and I have a tendency to speak in a certain manner wherein I gesticulate a lot or I have very rapid gestures, then unless I want to create a booth effect or a supernatural effect, then virtual backgrounds. Few um, platforms, more than the Zoom platform, there is Microsoft Teams also offers virtual backgrounds. It's all about the technology on how the image recognition happens. Can the software recognize which one is the person speaking and which one needs to be cropped out or blurred out? Couple of backgrounds or couple of platforms offer it a little better than Zoom, but still the challenge stays same. So I'm going to revert back or switch off the virtual background and go back to the normal one, which is probably my favorite, definitely. All right, next comes after we have a selection on the background, we need to focus on the lighting. Now, lighting, natural lighting works definitely best, but we don't always have natural lighting. So when it comes to finding the light source, the first criteria should always be that you should not have a light source behind you. So you can see two images in the presentation. The first one is when the person's light source is directly behind them. Look at how their face appears. And if we recollect our meetings, we have probably attended a lot till now. We can definitely relate and find out examples from our own experience wherein we have come across people with that kind of background lighting. The simplest idea is obviously you need to face the light source. And when you're facing the light source, again, if you are having the key element, what we are looking for is proper lighting, probably natural lighting, but diffuse lighting, which means that avoid focused top lights. If you're sitting under, some people have at their homes the ceiling lights, which is probably a focused spotlight. And they think that this is the best place I read a book, so this should be the best place from which I take a meeting. quite not the right idea here, because when you sit directly under the light source, it is going to cast shadows under your eye, and we definitely don't want you to look like zombies in the video conference. So go for diffuse lighting or slanted lighting, which comes from somewhere in front of you, probably at an angle of 45-degree. So for example, if you see me now, my light source is located at 45-degree angle to me and is an overhead lighting. Sometimes I also take video meetings wherein I have a table lamp beside me. The challenge which I face with my table lamp is that it is very close, and when it is very close, it starts uh, creating a harsh lighting effect on my face. And no matter what my age is, I definitely don't want the entire audience to look at my wrinkles at that point of time. And the same applies to any one of you. So when you're using a table lamp, be sure that try to place it at a convenient distance so that the lighting is not harsh and it does not highlight the not so appealing aspects of the face and makes you look pretty worn out. That's probably what it'll do to you. Another trick, if you have noticed, when you go for a passport picture being clicked for you, they probably place you at a place wherein they create they put two light stands, and then they have those umbrellas, white umbrellas covering them, and there is always two at two different angles. The reason they do that is, number one, those umbrellas create the diffuse lighting. So they have the spotlight harsh lights, but they diffuse it with that umbrella, and then they place it at two opposite angles so that when it comes to you, there is no shadow created because each one is crossing the other one. Now, we cannot, obviously, we are not suggesting that for any kind of meeting, you have to think through all this and probably buy umbrellas and start creating diffuse lighting. No, but with whatever you have, look at the angles that do you have a shadow on your face. If your light source is on top of your head, you might have a shadow. If your light source is behind you, you are definitely in shadow. If your source is very close to you at an angle, then you will have harsh lighting. So try to keep a certain amount of distance and check yourself on the video preview. In Zoom, we have an option called video settings at the left bottom corner. You can go there. That's what I do. I go there, and before starting or joining a video, I check, do I have the certain amount of lighting? And what do I need to adjust to get it right? So that would really help you to do that. Then comes when you're deciding about the background, about the lighting in your area where you speak from, you also need to take care of distractions. Now, this little cutie pie looks really cute, but it's probably a not good idea if you are going to have a meeting sitting beside him. So if your house has a tendency of kids running around, of pets running around, or your mother shouting at you that come for the dinner because it's getting late, then it's a good idea to decide on a room and probably lock yourself there and have it under your control. And also, when you pick up a background, do not sit in front of doors with glass windows or glass doors and glass windows, because you cannot control who walks past behind you. So the idea of an environment, the idea of a background is we need to control our background, control our environment as much as possible. That's probably the reason why I've chosen behind me. I know that this is not going to fall off suddenly. Nobody is going to walk out here unless, again, it's a supernatural phenomena. And I'm pretty sure that suddenly my family members are not going to start walking behind and taking a sneak peek on who I'm talking with. So that stability is needed when you're picking up your environment. Next, we will move on. Yes, can you see me, everyone? I'm sure this guy is as curious as I am on how I look on the camera at the moment. The reason we need to find out, or we need to work on how do we look, the aspects that we need to consider here is obviously the first thing is attire. So we talked about background, and based on the background, we need to always stand out against the background. So if my background here has browns, has beige, then my idea of picking up a white and orange was probably a good idea because you can always find me clear. But if I suddenly sit in front of you with a tan colored top, then that might not be that good at the contrast factor. Again, stripes, no matter how much of your favorite you love stripes, but unless you want to create a geometrical pattern of illusion, it will not be a wonderful idea to use stripes, especially if you are the speaker at a meeting. And be professional. I know it is quite casual, it's quite comfortable to come and attend a meeting in West, in your night dress, in your pajamas, but the idea of attending a meeting should be to not just respect our role, but also to respect rest of the audience. So if you are not in a presentable format, do not go for roles wherein you have to turn on the video. But if you do, please put your best foot forward and your best face forward in this matter. Then the next aspect is obviously grooming. And no matter how cool a stud or a dude or a wonderful natural beauty you are, you still need to groom yourself, which means that yes, even in lockdown, please take the shower, comb your hair. If your hair is frizzy for any reason, try to handle it and do something about your skin. Honestly, we need to be our own beautician here. And of course, yes, brush your teeth, please. So the other aspect about how do we look is also about how we handle gestures. Now, if you see, I might be presenting this way in front of camera or maybe in front of a real audience. But unless I really want to be the Thakur of Sholay, then probably spreading my arms this wide is not going to help me. So when you check your video settings, you need to see your own camera dimensions. And when you see your camera dimensions, you need to find out on how much or how far you can stretch your hand comfortably such that your audience still gets to view you. So the way you would do normally in a full room in person meeting, you can gesticulate or you can spread your arms a lot wider. But in a camera or in front of a virtual audience, please go for shorter movements and not too fast. The reason I say why we should avoid quick hand movements is we are dependent on technology here, as Deepak so beautifully explained how the bandwidth works and how finally something is getting downloaded or uploaded on the other side. So every movement that you do is a change that happens in the frame. So if you do it too fast and your audience does not have that much bandwidth, then you are missing out on the impact that you create in your speech. So go for a little um, reduced gestures and slower hand movements. Try to control that and check what is your camera angle. And when we talk about camera, the idea is to always have eye contact with the camera. All of us are some point of time a little bit of narcissist. So yes, whenever I have my video open and I can see my own video, I would love to watch myself. Do I speak the right way or am I not speaking the right way? And I have a tendency to look at it. Some of us also love seeing the gallery to get an idea about the people around and how is everybody's reaction. But the idea is that when we look at the gallery or at our own video, we are missing out on the eye contact. And for the eye contact to happen, you need to raise your device's camera level. And always try to check in the video settings earlier when you're doing the preparation. Try to have it in the first 1/3 of the screen. Your eyes should be focused there. So that means people who are joining from handheld devices, if you have noticed, you tend to place your camera or your phone, you might have a tendency to look at it this way or maybe this way. While this is good for a selfie, but not good for a video meeting. And the same applies that if you find it cool to keep it this way, but the audience is going to see more of your nostrils, more of your fan, and less of you. So that is again not so good idea to place your device or your camera setting that way. Again, avoid stripes. So we have, so yes, so in the camera we need to have the focus on, are we trying to cover the torso part? Now I have seen that sometimes people come very close to this camera, so you restrict your own movement. Unless you really do not use your body language, this position or this closeness is not a good idea. And when you make it far, and here is an angle. So I have seen people having angles like this. Well, more than the person they are more interested in seeing the interiors of the person, and it goes on that way. Now we will, and also notice that when we talk about the camera placement, if you are speaking, it is always advisable that join from a steady device. Device that you can choose. If you do not have a laptop, or it was probably a last minute decision and you are in a haste, then yes, you join from cell phone, but try to find a place where, or find out your own hack wherein you can have the cell phone stable. Because if you walk around the house and you say you are chosen as a table topic speaker, or probably suddenly you are the counter of the day, and you're walking around the entire house, even your report you're giving by walking around the entire house, um, you are probably comfortable in that. But I, as an audience, I have seen, I started having my head reeling, and many others felt the same thing. So kindly stay stable. And it is also a form of respect that we offer when we stay stable and focused on the meeting. Uh, Especially table topic speakers, probably I've seen, I think they get a lot of idea, and their creative juices start flowing better when they start walking around the entire house. I understand the creativity has its own ways and methods to reveal itself, but the idea of having Toastmasters is probably you want your creativity to be under your control as well. So please try to stay stable and stay focused when the meeting is on. Now I will just move on. All right. So I have this two wonderful video graphics, or video images, and I would want volunteers who, can you pick up the first image and tell me what all is wrong in that image? Or would you like to join a meeting this way?
I would request the participants to raise their hand so that I can unmute you. Master Nidhi, you are unmuted.
Yeah. Hello, Rani.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't want myself to be look this way. First of all, towards my left, the guy is not dressed at all. Appropriate is the different question, I think. And secondly, the light is facing towards its back, not in the front. And and through his glasses, we can see the reflection of the device. So that is also a little distracting. In another picture, the camera is really towards the, I mean, it's towards your torso. What should I
Yeah,
say?
it's below
It's
the
below, yeah.
the chin. Yes.
So we can judge people by their reading and saying, you know.
Okay.
Yep.
That's really a lot of points covered. Anything else anybody wants to add? Thank you so much, Toastmaster Nidhi. Yes, couple of
Toastmaster
hands.
Pooja is raising her hand. Toastmaster Pooja, can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, I think the camera is too much in the face, and the lighting at the back, that is also not good. Also, if it should be properly aligned, like you said, like Toastmaster Rani said that it should be in proper alignment, and in the right side, the left side, Toastmaster Nidhi has to said everything, that it's inappropriately dressed, and in the right side it's too much in the face, and it's too close. So also the lighting at the back is not good enough, so we can't actually see the speaker properly. That's
Right,
it from my side.
right. All right. And Nobody explicitly told. That's why I would ask this again. Is this person's bed okay? Are we okay with that kind of background? Or we should ask that maybe you should go and try to mend your bed first. That would also be necessary because we talked about eliminating any kind of distraction behind the person who is speaking. Okay. Thank you, Toastmaster Mridula. I think in between I got muted. So the idea is that yes, all the points were very beautifully and perfectly covered by Toastmaster Nidhi and Toastmaster Pooja. In addition, this guy really needs to take care of his home and he has to make his bed, and all those beautiful clothes which are strewn around behind him, they need to be at their right places. So sometimes if we do not have the perfect frame and if we have the bed behind us visible, the least we can do is ensure that it is neat and proper and not in a mess like this. But the most preferable way would be if we could align the camera in such a way that instead of the bed, only the wall could have come up. If that would have been possible, that would have been the best option. And I like the point that Toastmaster Nidhi pointed out regarding the glare and the reflection on the glasses. So people who wear glasses, they need to obviously take extra concern that we need to be clear when the person or what gets reflected and what is visible from this. And this lady on the right has clearly a lot of issues with her camera alignment. It is placed below. While it might be comfortable, probably she had connected from her phone, and hence she has placed the camera at a lower side in front of her and resting her hand probably. But it is definitely not aligned with the right eye alignment that is necessary, and this also obstructs. Say for example, she wants to express herself with her hands or any other gestures, she will not be able to do that certainly. And yes, the man on the left definitely needs to wear clothes. All right, thank you. Then we'll just move on to this one. That so before meeting, in order to be digitally sound and perfect, apart from all that we just went through about the camera alignment, about the background, about what we wear, about getting ready and getting seriously ready, not too casually, unless you have a speech which is all about how do I attend a meeting casually and act cool about it. If that is not your subject, then probably you would want to invest a little time on grooming yourself and being professional when you attend the meeting. And the reason we talked about the background and the colors is because every time the other side of the audience is having are just psychological people. So psychologically, if when we start getting distracted from what the speaker or someone is speaking, we tend to look for other aspects in the background. So if you have too many elements in your background, you are calling them to start exploring what's behind you than what's in front or what you are presenting to them. So if it is not intentional, let's avoid doing that. And I have seen sometimes people even sit in front of windows and there is a wind chime or maybe a screen which is curtain which is flowing around, and the wind chime starts clinging in between. While that looks very cute, but it really defeats the purpose of you as a speaker. If you do not intend and there's something swaying with the wind, then it is very likely when your audience loses a little bit attention from your speech and you hit a plateau in your speech or whatever you are speaking on, they will definitely be looking at the wind chime more than you. And that's where all goes into before the meeting preparation. And along with that, what we need to understand is we are technologically dependent, so do test your equipment. Have a clear idea on what is going to be your device, and not just device. Is your camera working, or is your audio working? Have you tested the audio? You would That's why Zoom offers you test your audio and video. So it would be a good idea that you might have your own Zoom app or try to log in and start your own meeting probably, and test, does your audio work, does your video work, do you have the proper setting? Go to the video settings, go into the preview mode, place your video camera accordingly, and decide how you want to show yourself this time. Then those were the cardinal rules. The next thing is Are you having a presentation? So if you're having a presentation, you need to check, do you have the right to present? The share option is not always enabled in every meeting. So it might be a good idea. Would you like to share your presentation to the tech master, or get an access to share, or probably share it to the Toastmaster of the day? You need to also test, when you enable the share, does it work for you if you're sharing from your system, or if you're asking somebody else to share it for you. You need to decide what should be the time and mode of sharing, and when do they start. So that clarity and that preparation and synchronization has to happen before the meeting. We have attended meetings wherein we have seen people coming up and then suddenly say, oh, my audio is not working, because they didn't test it, because they were not sure which device. Then somebody asks in the meeting, they have a speech and they say, I do not have the share option, I need the share option. That is again something that should have been done before the meeting. Also, if you're connecting from cell phone or laptop, now people who are using their laptop for various other work, you might have a lot of system sounds. So a mail comes in and there is a ping, and then your WhatsApp is on, there is a ping. You're sharing a video, there is a sharing a video from your cell phone, or maybe the timer cards from your cell phone, and then there is a drop down which is coming, and we can see all the text messages from your WhatsApp notifications. So before sharing, you need to mute the notifications. That can be done temporarily anywhere. Just find out based on your device, how do you mute the notifications and how do you mute the sound. And there are these sites where you can go and just test your network bandwidth, test my own network, or test my speed, net speed. Do that and take a call. What would be the best network to choose? Is it your home Wi-Fi or is it your cell phone network? And try to create the backup option. So for example, if you are used to connecting your device to the Wi-Fi, and there is an option in the laptop wherein you can select or checkbox connect automatically. Also make sure that you have connected once from your laptop to your cell phone network as well, and have that also selected as connect automatically. So if for any reason your Wi-Fi drops, then your device will be automatically able to switch to your other source of Wi-Fi network. And for that you need to keep your hotspot on. It would be a very good idea to do this kind of backup setup. Say you are a contestant in a contest, or you are playing a very key role in one of the meetings, so you might want to be stable on these elements. Then during meeting, well, no matter how beautiful and how glorified we make multitasking, but it is definitely not a good idea to keep your video on and continue to do multitasking, and especially when one is visible. So yeah, I'll get back to you. This is not what you should do. Now, if you have any interaction to be done with anybody in your meeting, do not do it with your video on, or do not do it when you're in the meeting. If something has to be attended, please mute yourself, please switch off the video and then attend to it. Come back and announce yourself back. When I say announce yourself, just you might want to use the chat window if you're going away. We have seen that we go for table topic segments and then we keep on asking, hello Toastmaster Superman, are you there and can you hear us? And Toastmaster Superman is probably busy putting on his Clark Kent's glasses, and it goes on. So that doesn't look good, and it dilutes the professionalism that we have always maintained in Toastmasters meetings so far. That's why stay present, stay focused, and respect that you don't want the speaker to feel that you're ignoring the speaker. When you are the speaker, you want your audience to listen to you. So give back the same amount of respect when you are the audience, especially. And it's very clear that please be on mute when you're not speaking. It is a very good idea, which Toastmaster Deepak pointed out, that when somebody joins, mute on entry is something that the host can take care of. But you also have a setting in your personal Zoom that when you join, you can join always on mute. That setting is also there in the profile settings. Please go and find out that and do that. If not anything, if you're on laptop, try to use the hardware button for muting yourself when you're attending a meeting. It's really not nice what you're instructing to your cook or to your husband or to your wife. on the meeting, and refrain from looking at yourself. This is something which all of us do at some point of time, that when we are on video, and instead of looking at the speaker, we are probably switching on our own video, and we're trying, and see, I'm trying to look at myself because I just want to ensure that I look good. But no, not a good idea. I need to look at the camera. This was my first key factor, which I constantly reminded myself, and I wanted to look at the camera so that I feel connected to the audience. Now, yes, I look creepy because I imagine the camera as a person sitting in front of me, but it's okay to look creepy, but as long as you look good on the camera and you connect to the audience. And lastly, again, stop multitasking. And if you are probably taking notes and you do it on your laptop, and suddenly you are not on mute, so that clickety clackety sound is a very distracting sound. Let's not do that. Try to use a diary if you can. And if at all you need to take notes on your laptop, then do it on mute so that nobody can listen to it. And after the meeting, to be perfect, you need to close the loop. So if you were an evaluator, or if you have to give back a response to somebody, please take it offline and do ensure that you close the loop. Now, yes, so any questions?
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Rani, for conducting that very enriching and very systematic presentation. So I would request all those who have queries to kindly write in the chat box or raise your hand so that I can unmute you. We have Toastmaster Deoshi raising his hand. Deoshi, I have unmuted you. Please go
So
on.
my question is like, what would be the ideal distance from the camera that I should stand away from to deliver the speech?
It depends. So so for example, now I'm sitting, and I know in this role, I'm not going to use, or I don't have to use the stage presence, or I don't have too many activities on my palette, which has to be taken care of. So for me, this distance works for a workshop like this, for a session like this. But based on your content, if you are a speaker, you need to figure out on the framing aspect, as a camera or a cinematographer would do, a camera person or cinematographer would do. The framing aspect has to be ideally done. And when you ask for the distance, actually you need to figure out you need to switch on the video settings and go for the preview video and find out what is the perfect distance. The key question that we need to find out, or base this answer on, is how much of your facial expressions are captured. When you go too far, or say 2 hands or 4 hands later. So when I'm using this very ancient way of explaining of 4 hands, because when you go 4 hands behind or away from the camera, you are probably reducing the impact that you can have from your facial expressions. So an ideal way would be, based on your camera's quality, you need to figure out what should be the ideal way and how far you can go. Probably 3 human hands away. That's a curious way to say, but 3 human hands away is an ideal distance. But the best answer for that is you have to switch on your device, your chosen device's video, and see till what level is the clarity of your facial expression, and which level of freedom of hand gestures you want. And based on that, you have to take a call. So if you're
Okay, thank
sitting
you.
and taking this looks okay. But if you're standing and giving, you need to see based on your content.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rani. Can we have a show of hands, please? If you have any queries, please go on. I'd seen Toastmaster Krish raising his hand sometime back. So Krish, do you have any query? Would you like to go for it?
Oh, I actually forgot the question.
Yeah, hi Krish. You're audible. Please.
You forgot the question.
I forgot the question. Thanks, hey, Pooja wants to ask a question. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Distinguished Toastmaster Satyadeep is raising his hand. Sir, I've unmuted you.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
nervous now.
No, I'm not going to ask you any question, Rani. This is just to Devarshi Pradhan. Devarshi, just pay attention. Day before yesterday, I was having a word with our district director, DTM Jennifer Ghosh, and she said that in the district conference, there is going to be a mandate for the international speakers, international speech contest speakers, and humorous speech contest speakers to stand and deliver. That is a must. So there, it might not be so in the division conference that we are going to host. And since you're a division conference contestant, Devarshi, you better be prepared from now on. I will probably um, issue set this across throughout the division, but that's what Jennifer Ghosh said. So in this context, Rani, what you said is important. Where exactly to stand and sit, but the district guideline, or rather the international guidelines which has come is to stand 3 feet away from the computer, and that's what Rani you are saying for 3 hands distance. Okay, so if there are division contestants, please be aware. In table topics, probably you'll be given an option to sit and deliver, but that is not so in the case of international speech and humorous speech contests.
Right.
Yeah, so just adding on to that, this decision about standing and delivering in the district is for the ISC mainly because hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. Is for the ISC because a video recording will be made for the regional, as you would know. Humorous, I really haven't heard anything, but of course, you can very well guess that humorous would follow the same thing.
No,
but for ISC, it is almost a mandate at the district, and it has been accordingly told to the contestants as well.
Okay, so Prati, you are sending out this as a broadcast, right, to all the contestants?
Yeah, we already had contestant briefing done for all the contests. So the ISC contestants has been told this, that they can choose to be sitting or standing in the division, but when they go to the district, it may be that they have to stand and deliver.
Right. Oh, good.
But the humorous still has an option. But I believe even for the humorous speech contestant, sitting and delivering would, I believe it would not be really an option unless you are really forced. But then, yeah, the option is still there.
Great. So I never knew that our division director had joined the call. Otherwise, this was his call.
No, not at all.
This was his call anyway. No. And just be sure that your head is not cut off, right? So sometimes when in the excitement to speak, sometimes the head is cut off, and that is what generally.
Yeah, that's when you're framing and everything. So it is very important to do the video setting earlier.
Correct. So Gajni has come back. Krish, that short-term memory loss. Gajni has come back. So Gajni, over to you.
He looks like one now, right? With his latest haircut. Yes, Krish, would you like to go with your query?
Yeah, so previously when we were having these club meetings at various venues, it was a kind of a cliche to start your speech with how many of you have done this, who raise your hands, those kind of things. So now are we suggesting that when we do the meetings online, for a speaker, it is better to have everyone in gallery view and wait for the thumbs up, or that is how we do it, or should we keep the questions for later?
That depends. I have seen now certain speakers still do that, but what it happens is, finally happens is they keep looking at did anybody respond, and people are now lazier that who will find the reaction and go and do that. And that's where we discuss that audiences need to be responsive and active as well and help the speaker. However, it is not a good idea to wait for too long and expect the response to come. If I were the speaker, I would rather change my way of interacting with the audience and do it a little more tactfully, wherein I'm not dependent for a go ahead and then moving to my next segment in the speech.
Got it.
So
Got it.
that's my take on how I would handle this
Got it.
different
Yeah, yeah,
situation.
yeah. Understood. That's what I was also planning on doing. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rani. I think we have a question from Toastmaster Joita Mujumdar. So,
Okay.
Joita, I'm unmuting you. Please go on.
Yeah, Toastmaster Rani. This is
Yes.
a question for me. Like, what is the? I'm very new in Toastmaster, and this session also I joined very late. So I just wanted to know, uh, in our virtual mode of communication, what is the exact? The best way of delivering a speech. Is it like standing and you know, small movement, or like the seating in a particular place and just you know expression via your gestures and facial expression. So if you can guide me, that would be great.
So, Toastmaster Joita, I would say this way that in Toastmasters, we do not recommend anything as the only best way to do something. Hence, you are free to experiment. Do you want to deliver one speech probably sitting, another speech you might want to explore by walking, and based on your preference for why you would want to go for certain option and how to make it work. So if you are going to deliver a speech wherein you feel that I get the best impact if I can walk around or if I use certain movement and I am standing and delivering. We have seen excellent speeches which were delivered when the speaker was standing, and we have also seen excellent speeches which were delivered when the speaker was sitting. So sitting or standing is a preference here. Nothing is recommended or nothing is suggested as the best way to do it. But either of this, if you are creating value or if you can have value and impact by sitting or standing, how do we make your sitting? If you're sitting, what should be the distance? How you should frame yourself in the camera? What factors you should keep in mind on in terms of presenting yourself on screen if you're sitting, and what should be a background, and all those factors that remain common. But based on whether you choose to deliver if you're delivering a speech probably standing and walking around, you might want to work more on your preparation of your area, because your camera angle will then be wider. You would place it a little farther so that more than the torso, your probably legs and thighs are also visible, and you want to have the coverage of horizontal panning also. So that homework which needs to happen has to happen the right way. If you go for a speech which you want to give while standing and suddenly you have the camera probably at a distance, it will not be a good idea to deliver a speech standing. So to stand or sit is your personal call based on your content. But whichever you make as an option or choose as an option, you need to make either of it work for you. So for that was this session all about. And since I have the division director and past division director, if you want to add your thoughts, feel free to do that. Yes, Krish? You are on mute.
Yeah. So, would you advise? I'm not talking in terms of contest level. So, let us say I'm giving a speech. Like I saw Deepak from US, who was giving an ISC speech, not this time, but in that slot A, slot B, District
Yes,
41 fights
I
Corona.
saw.
So he gave a speech that time. So in that we could see almost his full body when he was speaking.
Yeah.
But uh, well, for him, for a great speaker like him, we were able to make out his facial expressions. But for the lesser mortals, like, is it okay for someone to have, let's say I'm giving it from my phone, would you allow someone to operate the Zoom while I'm giving, as in not the Zoom, as in not the Zoom meeting, the Zoom setting in my phone to focus back and forth? Like I saw in one ISC contest recently, which Toastmaster Vikas gave, in which somebody was operating the phone camera for him
Mhm.
when he was moving from one sofa to the other. So is that I thought that was a fantastic way of bringing in some change into the speech and stuff. Or how is that evaluated in an online this one?
Well, for a regular meeting, I think that is okay, because in regular meeting, it is okay to have aids, and sometimes we have used audience or we have planted people who would help us create something or add some activity in a normal speech. But for contest, we usually do not, or we do not have a guidelines that we can use additional people incorporated in our entire speech. So that will not probably go through the guidelines at various levels, and certainly not something, it's a gray zone. So probably not advisable to try that at contest level. And even it gets questionable that contest chair is even not allowed to add any extra elements while announcing the contestant, or helping them with anything extra with respect to their props. So it is the contestant themselves. So experimenting or expecting an entire troop of people to aid them like a stage show will not be allowed at different levels. People will have a lot of perspective, and there is no such guidelines that they will be allowed to have such a aiding hand for them. But in regular meetings, we have a lot of variety, and there is no limitation to exploration. I'm sure people will have different perspectives. You might come across someone who would say that no, a speech should be just the speaker themselves. But I don't see anywhere written in Toastmasters guidelines that you cannot incorporate creativity in your speeches by including members in different ways. So that is possible according to me. And the reason I say it is possible, I don't see any guideline which will debar somebody from trying out that. But regular meeting, we are open. Contests, we have to go by the contest rules.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Rani. I think that was the last question which we'll be taking for today. And I'm sure that all of us can reach out to our wonderful mentors and our trainers for the day, Toastmaster Deepak and Toastmaster Rani. And we would like to share our heartfelt gratitude. And I'm sure all the contestants have learned a lot. For the division contest at Echelon. And I would request our division director, Toast, distinguished Toastmaster Brati Ghosh, to share his ending thoughts or parting thoughts.
Well, to say anything else other than good night would probably invite a lot of brickbats on me. So, a day which has started quite early today in terms of Toastmasters is still continuing. But even the proof that the things that we talked about today is of importance is that even at 11 o'clock in the night, we still have 15 participants around. And even when we are discussing pure technical things and even pure techniques, how to appear good, even when this was such pure technical stuff that we were discussing, people were so interested, and is proved by the fact that so many questions came up. So thank you to both the trainers and to you, Mridula, for conducting this very nicely and finding a time, coordinating the whole thing, putting out the posters. Thanks a lot. And best of luck to everyone. And please remember, Echelon is this Sunday. So please be there, and good night for the now.
Before we sign off for the day, may I please request everyone to kindly switch on your videos. I know it's asking for a lot, but just to have a parting group picture so that we can preserve this memory as well. May I please request everyone to kindly switch on their videos for a second, please. Bimalji, Pooja, Tanushri, can we please request you to kindly switch on your videos for one last group picture? Okay. Kindly look into the camera. Let's. Thank you so much, everyone. for joining in today, and good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.